Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. It's an honor and a privilege to serve in the United States House of Representatives. The United States of America is the greatest country on the face of the planet. I can tell you, it's just awe-inspiring when you see that dome and you're able to walk in there and go on the floor of the House of Representatives and represent Utah to Washington, not Washington to Utah. You know, the other night, Wednesday night, I got to sit about 8 rows back when the president and his teleprompter came to the floor of the House of Representatives. I know Joe Wilson. Joe Wilson's a friend of mine. But I got to tell you, there's a reason why he took that historical moment. Because it's not normal for a president to come address a joint session of Congress. There are very few times in the history of our nation that has happened. And I'm convinced that what the White House saw, what the Democrats saw in general, was something they haven't seen in a long time. It's something that Nancy Pelosi often calls un-American. But I can tell you it's the most American thing I've seen in a long time, and that is you standing up. What we saw over those hot 6 weeks over the summer was America from coast to coast standing up. It wasn't just conservatives, it wasn't just Republicans, it wasn't just liberals, it was the whole spectrum of America that stood up. And I appreciate the gentleman's comments, because I believe there are a lot of good people on both sides of the aisle. Now, I happen to disagree with a lot of my liberal and Democratic friends. I just disagree with them. But I can tell you that there are some good people out there that care fiercely about this country. And we should debate with every bit of passion that we possibly can about the principles, about the Constitution, about our country, about the policies that we want to move forward in this country. See, what I appreciate about what was happening by and large across the country, it was good old-fashioned Americans who normally haven't been involved in the political process, who finally stood up and say, I got to get involved because I don't like what's happening in my country. And if we can fight on principle, if we can fight based on the Constitution, if we can fight based on the issues, we will win that argument every single time. What we're fighting for so passionately, what I know fills your heart to come out on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning, is about the American dream. You know, if you look at our forefathers and what they went through, in the most difficult of times, difficult of circumstances, whether it be the economy or the international politics or the threat of war, they didn't just go to look to the federal government for some bailout. They got to work, is what they did. They rolled up their sleeves, they got their fingernails dirty, and they got to work to make this country better. They didn't just go to Washington, D.C. and say, oh, hey, we need a bailout. And so when they want to have an auto bailout, when they want to take over all these banks and all these other things, we got to take them at their word and stand up and say, no, that is not the way the United States of America works. That is not the way the United States of America works. It's about the Constitution. It's about empowering people's liberties. It's about fiscal discipline, limited government, accountability, and a strong national defense. Those are the things that we need to stand up and fight for. You know, it's interesting when, before I went to the House of Representatives, I had a chance to meet with a great representative who served 22 years in the House of Representatives, a gentleman by the name of Jim Hansen, who served up in northern Utah. Jim Hansen is a good man. And I went and sat with him, and I wanted to get a couple pieces of advice. And the first thing he said to me, he said, Jason, you know, I was there 22 years. He said, I had the good fortune when I came into office is that I was the freshman class with Ronald Reagan. He said when he first came in, he sat down with us freshmen, and they asked him, so Mr. President, what piece of advice would you give to us, the freshman class? And he said, in the President Reagan's words, just do what's right for the United States of America. Just do what's right for the United States of America. It's such simple advice that often we lose sight of. And then Jim Hansen told me another story I could tell is absolutely true. And I'll relate it from my own experience. When you first get there and you go onto the floor of the House, you're just in awe, as I said before. And you start to look around and you think, how did I get here? I mean, seriously, how did I get here? And about 6 months into it, you start looking around and you say, how did they all get here? That's so true. Can't even begin to tell you. Like I said, there's some great men and women who serve in the House of Representatives. One of the great honors that I get to have on a regular basis, daily basis, when I'm back in Washington, D.C., is to see and interact with Ron Paul. He's a great patriot. He cares passionately about this country. He cares passionately about the Constitution. And I'm happy to report that when he, early on, let me back up. For years, he's been trying to put forward a bill that has not made it, and we're still not there yet. And he talked to me about it early in the session, and I signed on as one of the original co-sponsors. And that is to audit the Federal Reserve. That bill now has nearly 300 co-sponsors. And I can't believe this, but last Saturday, Barney Frank said that the committee would actually take the bill up. That thing's going to pass.
Abolish the Federal Reserve.
Oh yeah, we could have a whole meeting just about the Federal Reserve. I could tell based on this crowd here. It's what we're doing. Listen, I got to tell you, when I roll off that cot in the morning and get down on my knees to say a prayer, it's a very, very humbling experience. I can tell you, I'm as fired up as I've ever been to be able to use your energy and your talents and all the things, all the gifts and experiences that you had throughout your lifetime to represent Utah in the House of Representatives. I'm still overwhelmed by the opportunity and the weight of what we have to do. But I can promise you this, when I come back to Utah and I see my family and my kids, and I see people like yourselves who care deeply and passionately, when you send me notes on Facebook and on the email and all that, that is one of the most heartening things that you can have. Because it is a little bit lonely there. You do roll off that cot and you think, oh my goodness, what is this day going to bring? You know, one of the fights that we're out there fighting, and I see some signs about this, and we will continue to fight about it. In fact, I think about 7:10 or 7:15 Monday morning, I'll be back on Fox News again, talking about the fact that we got to get Acorn and we got to get him taken care of. There are a few of us back there that understand that this organization, which operates in 120 cities and 43 states, has 70 convictions, is a shell game of 361 organizations, and I'm proud to be part of the Oversight and Government Reform on the Republican side of the aisle, that committee, which issued an 88-page report demanding that the Justice Department invest Acorn for what they're doing. We will continue to fight that fight. If you didn't see it, but late on Friday night, finally, the Census Department agreed to dismiss them as a partner in the United States Senate, Census. I have offered a bill that said, let's have our Postal Service do the census in 2010 and not allow the Acorns of the world to get in there with that data. I'm going to need your help and support on that, but I can tell you what, there are very few of us. It is so humbling when you sit around and you look at the room and you say, gosh, there's just 3 of us. We better get this done. If we don't, it's not going to happen. Please, keep standing up. This is one of the most American things you can do. My thanks to this organization for you all coming out. Keep involved. It's going to be the grassroots. It's going to make the difference in this country from coast to coast. May God bless you and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.